So pinning off from the back formation, giving us his solo routine, is Stu Goldspink in the Grumman Wildcat. To do. Now in from the left, Stu Goldspink finishing his routine in the Grumman Wildcat. Right, so
we have the trio of F4 Corsairs. So we're staying with the Navy theme. This is the bent wing bird, or Whispering Death as the Japanese knew it. This is a late Second World War fighter aircraft that it first debuted in 1943. Wildcat, which just previously saw held the fort for the first 2 years of the war, and they realised that the Wildcat was, although a very good aeroplane and very sturdy, beautiful loop being led by the yellow-nosed Corsair. That's a slightly earlier Corsair with a three-blade propeller. That's an aircraft owned by the fighter collection from Duxford, flown today by Brian Smith, one of our most experienced warbird pilots, superb leader. All this formation flying is driven by the lead. Everyone thinks the hard job is the guys on the wing, but in actual fact, the guys on the wing can pass a sum total of 6,000 horsepower coming past from left to right. Class. On the other side of the formation is just run by Eric Goujon, again the gentleman from France, started. As it passes in front, you can see that wonderful golden design. You haven't seen it many of the warbirds here today. You can see if they pass away really, and the wing is cranked down initially and then back up again. So the aircraft was capable of well over 400 miles an hour, which made it the top credit. And it's a very jammy so-and-so because he's got a blue gap just where he needs it. So the aircraft was designed in 43-44 to actually take over from the Hellcat. And the problem in 1944 was the kamikaze aircraft in the Western Pacific. And what they needed was an aircraft that could get airborne off the carrier, suck its gear up, stay at full power, point the nose up and climb at least 4,000 to 5,000 feet a minute to intercept the kamikaze aircraft coming in and taking out the US Navy ships. And that's exactly what they managed to do with the Wildcat. They took exactly the same engine that was fitted to the Hellcat and the Corsair, that same R2800, which you also see demonstrated in the B47 earlier on today. And they basically took the absolute minimum airframe they could actually attach to the back of the engine. Little wings, little fuselage, made it as light as possible. And this is the actual result. Incredibly light, but very, very powerful. And I think it still holds, I can be corrected, I think it still holds the class of aircraft, time to height, shall I say, that makes 10,000 feet of the wingtips having explosive bolts on them, such that the pilot pulled too hard, the explosive bolts would activate and blow off the outer 2 feet of the wingtips, thereby reducing the stress on the wings. But when they put it up for test, the wingtips often didn't come off symmetrically, which made the problem doubly worse, so they've been manual. Probably just as well for the Japanese Air Force, but sadly for the US Navy, the aircraft actually was on carriers being taken out to the Pacific as the atomic bomb was dropped in Japan. So sadly, let's not go there. The aircraft was never used in World War II, and unfortunately, as good as it was, of course, it was overtaken by the jet engine. So the US Navy, basically most of them went straight into training after 1945, so they were, you can imagine a young 18-year-old ensign who just learned to fly on T6s, given one of these to play with. But they're in the training command until I think the early 50s, and in actual fact the very first the aircraft did actually see combat history. I think the French used it in Indochina. The Thai Air Force used it for a while again in operations against rebels, etc. And I say it was generally outmoded by the jet. When speed comes around for the passes, Brian, wave at Brian as he taxes in the yellow-nosed Corsair. Super job with those Corsairs, Brian. To the bearings, negative. And I think that was probably Pete's goodbye flyby. He's going to join down.